Hello guys, welcome to today's class and today's teaching whereby we're going to be talking about the types of cybersecurity attacks with examples. Stay locked on, stay tuned, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos. So the types of security and cybersecurity attacks and the examples. Cybersecurity attacks come in many forms, each with its own tactics and targets. So we're going to be having a breakdown of most common types of cyber attacks along with real world examples to bring them to life. So this page carries four major types of cybersecurity attacks. The social engineering attacks, which I spoke about earlier, alongside malware attacks, code injection attacks, and DDoS attacks, which is distributed denials of service attacks. So we'll be talking about malware attacks. First, malware is a malicious software designed to harm or exploit systems. Examples of malware, we have viruses, we have rats, that's remote access Trojans, yes, which are under the Trojans too. Then we have ransomware and we have spywares. So each of them have their examples though, which I'm going to give a breakdown in a different video. Now, real world case, yes, the WannaCry was a very popular ransomware attack that took place in 2017 and affected over 200,000 computers across 150 countries, encrypting data and demanding Bitcoin payments. It was so popular. In fact, if you go over the net and do a little research, you'll see more about it. So these are the types of malware. Yes, the graphical explanation for you to see. Spyware steals your data. Worms spreads data across it spreads the viruses across computers. Then botnets, they turn your PC into a zombie where someone is controlling it from a different place entirely. So phishing attacks, yes, I spoke about it earlier in the previous video. Is when attackers use tricks into revealing sensitive information via fake emails, websites, or links. Then we have variants, what we call spear phishing, which is targeted phishing, that's to targeted individuals. Then we have what we call whaling executives. Then we have what we call smishing, which is an SMS kind of phishing. Then we have what we call phishing, which is voice phishing, whereby it's someone that is going to be talking to you via communication. So an example was in 2020 where Twitter employees were being phished, leading to a breach of high-profile accounts like Elon Musk and Barack Obama. That's serious. So this is a graphical explanation from the attacker through the employee, now whereby they have a real website. Let's use maybe Facebook for an example. They'll clone it and are going to make it look so legit that will have to make you input your logon page where you see your email and your password. That's for example, it could be the admin logon page for an exact organization that's been cloned, and all they need you to is just to log in your admin username and password, and boom, join to your system or organization. So we have what we call man in the middle attacks, MITM. It's where hackers intercept communication between two parties to steal other data, where there's someone in between just waiting for a vulnerability to pick information for both sides. So many attackers use such techniques for hacks, like the one that recently happened to Donald Trump, whereby his allocation funds of about 200,000 plus was being diverted. So these are the kind of tricks. In fact, this is the exact trick that was used in that attack. So this is an example. Then was on the public Wi-Fi where an attacker could intercept login credentials sent to a banking site. A public Wi-Fi where you have more than 3 or 4 users. So as long as they are connected to that Wi-Fi, an attacker can hack into that public Wi-Fi and have access to their systems and see exactly what each and every one of them are doing. Those are those who are connected to that public Wi-Fi space. So this is a graphical explanation of how it functions and how it works. Then we have DOS or DDoS attack, denial of service and distributed attacks. It's whereby an attacker floods a system with traffic to make it unavailable, whereby multiple pages just keep opening up, keep popping up, whereby you cannot exit one and access anything on that server or computer. An example was in 2016 where a massive DDoS attack on the DNS provider by DYN took down major sites like Twitter, Netflix, and Reddit. So you can see how powerful that attack is and why we need to be careful and we need to be aware of the tricks behind it. So this is a graphical explanation from the targeted victim, from the attackers down to the targeted victim and how it's done. Then the fifth one, we are going to talk about SQL injection. Yes, that's when attackers insert malicious SQL code or codes into input fields to access or manipulate databases. An example was in 2008, the Heartland payment system suffered a breach via SQL injection, exposing millions of credit card records. Another example was the one that took place in 2020 where the database of SSN that's in the United States their whole database was being brought out and was available for the public media. So this is a graphical explanation or a graphical view of SQL injection. Number 6, we're talking about zero-day exploits. Yes, that's an attack that targets unknown or unpatched vulnerabilities. And an example was the Stuxnet worm. That was the name. Yes, so it exploited multiple 0 days flaws to sabotage Iran's nuclear program. You can look more on it on the net. So this is a graphical example of 0-day threat examples. Now, this was an example of that took place in 2009. This one was one that affected Sony Pictures, and so many more. You'll find them also on the net. The seventh one is social engineering. Yes, which is like the brother to phishing, is manipulating people into giving up confidential information. A video I made earlier on spoke more about it, where you manipulate or when the attacker manipulates someone to know the person's pet's name or the kind of pet the person uses, maybe the person's date of birth, the person's first name, the middle name, the person's social security number, and the person is trying to gather all those information to have an idea on the password that was used, the password syntax or format that was used. Maybe the person wants to gain access to your banking system or to your Wi-Fi home password. So this is the kind of techniques that is going to be used for such attack. So these are the types of that we can use them for passwords, for access logins, for spying, for fraud, for pretense, for security. There's so many methods in that social engineering, but it's a very broad technique that still works till date to anybody. The eighth one will be password attacks. That's when cracking or stealing passwords using brute force or dictionary attacks or credential stuffing. And in the times to come, there were so many tools that were used for this kind of attacks. For example, like Cain and Abel, you may not find out on the net, but if you have access to Linux software, you might still find it. Yes, and from the times of the 2020 2022 versions of it, you find and you still get that of Wireshark. There are stones like Ministros. There are so many of them that are used for password attacks. So an example was in 2021, the Colonial Pipeline breach, which began with a compromised password, and that was it. So this is a graphical explanation, a graphical picture. And number 9 is the drive-by downloads. It's a malicious code, or where a malicious code is downloaded without the user's knowledge when visiting a compromised website. An example was when a user visits a fake flash update site and unknowingly installs a spyware. So most of this is done through what we call RATs, remote access Trojans. Yeah, there are stores whereby it could be sent to you via a link or a picture, but once you click on it, a keylogger or a malicious software will be installed in your device or your database without your knowledge, and everything about your system is being monitored. Then this is a graphical explanation of drive-by downloads from the websites where it has already been injected using the exploit kits, and when the malware is already installed on the website or the tools itself, and definitely the profit comes in. It could be files, it could be information, it could be data, it could be logon, it could be employee information, and all. Number 10 is the insider threats. That's an attack from within an organization, either malicious or accidental. An example is a disgruntled employee leaks sensitive customer data to competitors. Definitely will be for financial gain. These are types of insider threats, intentional or third party threats or unintentional. So you have collusive threats or the malicious threats. Thank you.